Do we want to move down the list item by item? If we want, we can right here. We can go to 301, the real estate tax. Last year's 132, 677 and 84 cents. I had the same thing. I see Bobby has rounded his numbers out. And then Mr. Jackson, I think you're at 155, 606.
Right.
And your number is from what? Donna, is there something that you're saying that?
That includes the tax.
The tax
increase.
increase.
That includes that 18,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you take that out, it's back down to where you.
Okay, okay, all right. Well, looks like we're the same on the current per capita. There's no questions there on that. As we go down these lines, if you want to talk us about something, please stop me.
I will just bring us back up to the current rate, and Mr. Barlow, your 130 that you have there, that is last year's rate.
Correct.
It has been adjusted now for the current property tax, and that's what the 135 is.
Okay,
So it would be appropriate if you just put in 135, because that is our set rate current.
that is the set rate, okay.
Yeah, I'll put that in for you and make that change.
Thank you.
That's
way I don't have to-
Tax is the same.
Yeah,
That's
that way I
with
won't
the
scribble on my
property.
paper.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna go down here, let's see, item number 310, per capita tax, it's 4,700 across the board. The real estate transfer tax, last year's $10,000 was adopted and stayed there. I know Mr. Kaihope, you have in here $20,000 as a transfer?
Yeah, I was thinking about the housing market and the way it's been going, I think it'll be up.
Well, that's being good, optimistic anyhow.
I try to be.
That's awesome. I could say.
That was my thought on that.
Okay.
Well, we did have,
I may need some help and guidance
we
on that
did have
discussion.
a rather large windfall this year in that category. I think we collected 23,000,
Right.
but that's due to some high price houses being sold.
Being sold.
That's probably where I came up with that number, because I went back 4 years, I think, and came up through to get
Well,
these numbers.
question of whether we're gonna be optimistic about real estate values going up or
I
not.
don't know.
And depends how conservative we wanna be, I guess.
Right, right. Okay. Our next item, line item, is 310-20, earned income. So we have some differences there, 150, which is what last year was. It looks like we got some depreciation on the earned income to 100,000, Mr. Jackson, and 125 on Mr. Kaiholt. So I know some people moved out of the area and took their money with them. So it's gonna drop that, but it fluctuates.
Well, I talked to Al Timko about it, and he's not very optimistic. We got sort of a boost this spring because of delinquent taxes from last year.
Right.
But he says the outlook is not good for this year because of all the companies shutting down, restaurants and factories, and they're all furloughing people, and that's where their earned income comes from. So
Right.
my opinion reflects that pessimism.
Yeah, I can understand that too. Yeah, a lot of people have been affected by the COVID, so it's probably gonna, well, like you said, it is gonna trickle down to us from the state. It already, I know as far as our liquid fuels, we've already been given notice that we've lost we've taken a cut on the liquid fuels this year because of COVID. So
We will.
we did, we are absolutely going to, yeah.
Well, we had, what, about 73,000 this past year.
Something like that, and I think we're coming in this year, projected is 55,000. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a drop for us, so. All right, well, so we get down here on our, we'll go down to our license and permits, we have cable TV franchise, we're all on the same page on that in the 8,400.
Yeah.
Then court and police fines, well, we were at 12, last year's budget was 1,200 this year. I think we might change that because things have going around. I see Mr. Kaihope, you put in 4,000. I would tend to think that that's gonna go up since, our police officer's been doing such a fine job. And we have so many people that like to come to our township and pay fines to us, which is praise the Lord. Then we may have to readjust that number, because I believe that has increased a lot, hasn't it, Sherry?
Yeah, I think we've already passed, this year's, what last year's was, for the whole year.
Yeah. I was getting to say, do I have one that has Sherry in there? Did you weigh in on that, Sherry?
Did I?
Yeah, no, okay,
No.
okay, sorry. All right, I think we probably need to look at that, and that number's probably gonna change for us, Bob, as Bobby has already indicated. Next was mattress fees, which I believe is also gonna change, so that's something, a number we need to look at. Because all of that's gonna affect what the policing and what's been going on, over the last 8 months. It's definitely gonna, make that number change. Accident reports, Where's our next item we need to discuss, guys? Let's see. Interest income?
Well, the ones that she's highlighted are the ones that are, where there's a difference of opinion.
Yes, I mean, interest income. So there's $500, no, it's $100 difference, you know what? I wouldn't argue about, and that's on the Plica account, the 341-03.
Yep.
You can adjust that for me too, Wendy, at $2,500, I believe what the other two have.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just mark it in my little thing here. The same way, well, that would definitely go down to there too, so that would change that. It's the interest income, the 2,600.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed it. Back up here on the earned income, did we decide anything, or is that something we wanna talk about later? Where you're all different on the earned income? Do you still wanna mull that over, what our estimates are gonna be? Up on, 31020, the earned, the EIT,
Yeah, I can say,
you wanna just update me on your?
yeah, we'll update you on that, yeah, because, yeah, I can say, it's $25,000, but Mr. Jackson's in the middle, and I'm on one side and Bobby's on the other side, so we'll see how that's gonna go, because we got a few more months to deal with that, I think.
Right, no, we can look at that at a later time, I just didn't know if I missed a
Yep.
comment. Okay, we'll keep that.
We're on the public utilities, we're $50 difference there, I mean,
I have a comment on that, we don't have any, we can't affect that rate, that is a set thing that comes in by the government, so it's really gonna be 347, 340, so. You're hopeful for 400, but it's pretty much the same rate every year.
All right, I didn't
It's
know
a
that.
grant thing, or, it's a fee that the government, charges, it's kind of like the alcoholic beverage.
okay,
It's a hundred, so it's the same kind of situation where we just take what the government's gonna give us for those things.
and on this non-uniform pension plan, it's been 77.45, is that gonna increase or something,
Yeah.
because I know Bob's got over here at 8,000?
It is 7% of my salary, so it's always the same,
It's always the same.
yeah. And I think it might also have, and there's a $1,250 maintenance fee on it. So that's what that is, it's a percentage of my salary plus an annual maintenance fee. So that doesn't go, it shouldn't go up because I'm not gonna, unless you give me a raise here or something, you know, but,
And that would be also on the allocated one,
yeah, it's the same, it's just a total of that.
okay.
I put in a little extra there because thinking ahead with regard to the potential of doing other police work.
That's a non-uniform effect, that's not,
That's a
that's
non-uniform.
mine, that's not for the police.
So, oh, that's for you only?
Yes, this is for me only.
Okay.
The police isn't even in the budget at this point because, and I can see how we need to put that in there, it's gonna come in at 0 because currently that pension plan is so overfunded.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have an obligation, the obligation's been coming in at 0.
Right, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, all right. Then we'll move on to, no discrepancies down here, we're on financial administration, accounting. So, 5,900 is what we had last year. Bobby has for $6,200, so I'm assuming you're thinking, increase due to, inflation?
Where are you?
We're at 402-10 on page number 2. I'm sorry.
that's, they're the people that do the audit, et cetera, correct?
Yeah, we just got a bid from them.
Yeah, well,
Did we?
I just, the sheer, it's not from SEK, but last year, I entertained an offer for some other accountants.
that's right.
And I asked them to rebid this year, and I just sent that out to you, so.
Yeah, we just, SEK just did it.
That wasn't SEK, that was a different company.
That was a different company.
Oh,
That I just sent 2 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't SEK. I'm waiting on their price.
okay.
So we're still waiting on that, so that's
Yeah.
still,
I'll confirm that price, so put my name on that.
Oh, I thought that was SEK.
Yeah, it was a competitor. We were checking prices again.
okay. Our next item here is, office supply. Molly, you have in there for $500 for that, it was $125 in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, with additional people in the office here now, part-time and so forth, I thought that number would go up as things move forward. That was my thought on that.
I was gonna comment that particular office supply is only for the tax collector. As you'll see the heading of
yes.
that, if you look at the heading for that particular.
No, okay.
Yeah, that's tax collector position.
I asked the tax collector, I don't think she anticipates any change in that particular office supply field.
Well, that's good.
Now, clarify, which one are we talking about?
We're at, 403.22, 21.
Office supply, is that only for the tax collector?
Yeah, only for the
That's
tax
what she's
collector.
saying.
The heading above it is for tax collector.
Now, I know this past year, since we had, in the middle of the stream, we had, the new tax collector, she needed to get some of her own things, so that supply did go up.
Yeah, for this year, we went over budget because we unexpectedly took on a new tax collector and had to supply her.
Right,
But that won't affect next year, hopefully, since she's already purchased all the things she needs
right.
this year,
Is that,
then she won't need to buy very much next year.
is that things like envelopes and stamps?
Yes, envelopes
Right.
for her mailing.
Okay, what did we do with Natalie? Did she buy her own, or did we buy?
No, this is, so if you look at the 2020 budget right there,
Mhm.
those are all Natalie's numbers.
Oh, okay,
That was approved for
Right.
Natalie Williams.
yeah.
Right,
So some of those things will go away, and as we move down through the column, you'll see some zeros,
right,
because those were adjusted, because Natalie will no longer be on the budget for 2021.
right.
And because Jessica has made some changes to that budget, some of the things are going to be less.
Oh, good.
Okay, all right. Bobby, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna maintain it at 500? Do you wanna change it? Do you wanna think about it?
I'll think about that. I'm definitely going to lower it, pending, considering what my misunderstanding of that. I was, so, yeah, well, I think it ought to be a little more than 125. I think that's a little light, maybe 150 or so, but.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll say, all right, then we'll move down now to supervisor's salary, no, supervisor support, the solicitors, it's 404-10.
Yeah.
I think Jackson and I both were at the same 20,000 last year. You've dropped in $2,000.
Yeah, I did, because I thought we've gotten a lot of things squared away. I felt as though the support would dwindle somewhat. But once again, maybe being optimistic.
No,
$2,000 isn't a heck of a lot when it comes to lawyer fees.
No, I would like to make a few comments about that.
Okay.
Frankly, I'm really disappointed in the amount of support we're getting out of our solicitor. And mainly on this boogeyman law interpretation that he makes. I mean, Mickey, you had a meeting the other week, when we talked about, I think we were talking about, this part-time secretary or something like that. He wrote you a letter and said, you have violated the Sunshine Law. Or maybe you have, or you probably have, or something like that, in other words. I don't think, and the reason was that he was not, he said, that you probably didn't even have a lawyer in attendance. Did you? Did you have the people from Philadelphia in it? Well, no, but he's done that right down the line on all kinds of things. He's a nice guy, he's a gentleman, he's polite, I like him personally, but he is extremely concerned about being conservative. I mean, when we were talking here about our pension, you remember, he said, we gotta get over into debt right now, away from stocks, because the stock market's gonna go to hell, and I mean, he editorialized that during our discussion of the audit. It just shows that he's a real CYA kind of a solicitor, and unwilling to take any risks that he can possibly avoid, and I don't think that's what we need as a solicitor. That's my opinion. I expressed it at the beginning of the year, and it's only intensified. And I've got a long list of things that I think that he's charging us for that are really unnecessary, that we can do ourselves. And I don't think we need to have him reading the secondary code, township code book. And we can read that for ourselves. So what I'm long way around is I'm taking the opportunity to say, with our other suppliers, API and the other auditors, from time to time we go out and get competitive, or at least consider competitive prices. And what I would like to do is to invite in another firm to give us a proposition for supplying a solicitor to us.
Do you have one in mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saltzman Hughes, the people up in Gettysburg, I think Sam Weiser is the guy who does it. He does a lot of other townships. I've checked around how the other people like him, and they're very satisfied with what he does. Now that doesn't answer the question about how conservative, and how do you judge a lawyer and accuse him of being too legal? It's hard to do, and we didn't last time. Remember, I passed out, here's a list of 17 things, you know, like, do I have the right to buy a $55 telephone for the roadmaster? Or he said, nope, gotta have a public meeting. And I guess you do. You're buying stones and stuff for the roads. You really, technically, according to the law, you have to have a public meeting before you can do that. Now that's ridiculous, and it's not necessary. And other townships work it. And the guy was in here, that visitor, the other attorney, he said, all you have to do is put it in your manual. Put it in your manual. We give you the authority to spend whatever you need to do. And that begs the question of what about like the mower broke down? You had to pay $3,900. You're going to sit around and not do any work while we go out and get competitive quotes on a $3,900 job that's invariably going to have to be done anyway.
Right.
So how do you put that into the handbook? I don't know. But cleaning the gutters. It took 2 months to clean those damn gutters that Mr. Cowholes brought up. This is the very first point of issue. We have to have a public meeting to let Brian spend $200 to clean the gutters. I think what we're doing is just handcuffing ourselves.
Well, I didn't intend to go out and get somebody else to do it. That, in my view, was Brian's job. It was getting paid pretty darn good to do a simple job. Yeah. And that's what my intent or what my vision was as far as that job getting done.
But I understand that point of view, but I'm saying, should he have the authority to spend that kind of expenditures as the roadmaster?
Well, let me ask you a question, and once again, I'm kind of new to this, but if it's in the budget for $2,000 for the stone, or
yeah, but we don't put
or
$2,000.
repair the mower, there's
How could you put the broken down mower
Well, you can't.
in the budget? We don't know it's going to break down.
so what did that fall under?
Maintenance,
We just did it. We just did it.
but we have money in the budget.
We had
for those
We had
things.
money in the budget.
Overall, our budget was fine. Now, if
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
spent more than was in that category, then we're going to take it out of some other category. But that's what every business does.
Sure.
And I think what I'm leaning toward is trying to operate a little bit more like a business. And I would like to, and I've been talking to them I've been observing them and conferring with this. Saltzman Hughes, I think is the name of their company. And would like to ask them to come in and tell us.
Well, I believe every year that we can get quotes from different outside people like KPI and
Oh, yeah.
pauses. You can do the same thing with the attorneys, with the insurance company. We can do that every year. We can get quotes from people, and then we can decide then. But what we're trying to do tonight is decide where we wanna set in the budget, how much money we wanna set
Let-
aside.
Let me finish up with what my
Right.
request is. I can't approach Saltzman and Hughes to even consider being our solicitor unless the three of us, or at least the majority of us, supports it. And what I was planning to do is to write them a letter and say, it's budget time, we're gonna go out and look and see what's available. We do this with our engineering firm, our accounting firm, and we'd like to do it with our legal advice firm. And see if they come in, and this time, instead of being really nice and pleasant and not discussing anything legal, we've got quite a few typical cases here that we can talk about. What, is it all right for two of our supervisors to talk to each other? You guys can't talk to each other, did you know that?
Sure.
And of course you don't.
Of course not.
I mean, you can't run a business without talking. And if we try to, we're gonna do a screwed up job. So I don't know this outfit it's a big firm, so I'm not sure what attorney would be available, but I would like to really dig in with them and ask them a lot of these pointed questions. And if you guys agree, I'll write a letter to Saltzman and Hughes, say we're budget time, we'd like to entertain a proposition from your company. And it's a lot more than just their hourly rate. I mean, if it were just hourly rate, we'd go get Zach to come and be our attorney.
Yeah.
He's cheaper, but it's more than that. It's an attitude toward how we run our business.
Well, we had another guy when Mr. Lisco, because I think what we did in that process is we put out for bid.
Yep.
And I would propose that if we want to consider that, I have not objecting to putting out for proposed bids for attorneys and look at them. I wouldn't say just one group bid. We're just going to get this group here. If we're going to put out for hourly rates and bids and all, then we put it out there. And Mr. Lisco, he can put in his numbers again. These people can put their numbers in. And maybe the guy from Camp Hill, I believe he was the last time,
Yeah.
he could put in his, and then we could sit down and talk about it. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, that's what we should be doing every year, is saying, hey, let's look at our budget. Let's look at, can we get services that are comparable and for a cheaper rate?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But according to the people that I've talked to up there, we have to have some sort of a formal invitation to participate.
When did we do that last time?
Just vote that you wanna move forward with me to advertise a proposal to bid. Just make a motion that you want me to do that, and then I'll take care of it.
Is this the proper time at a budget meeting?
I think, it's up to you. I mean, it's a budget-related item. If you wanna
Well, we can do, so you wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we advertise for competitive bids on solicitor services for next year.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I tell you, just one last fact. Our legal bill used to be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500 a year. Now it's $20,000 already, and we're not through the year yet. So we're spending 10 times what we spent before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're getting 10 times better value. I don't know, but I tend to think from my review of the charges and the activities, we're paying a lot more than we need to. So.
I agree.
Okay, so on the proposed budget right now, we're leaving it set at 20,000, we're dropping it to 18, or we just wanna hold off for now?
Comment on that would be, since we're gonna put out a advertisement regarding bids, we have basically about 4 months, so we got time to get some people in here and take a look at that and really
Right.
consider that until December.
So we'll just leave that in question, how's that,
All
boys?
right, leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Okay, good,
And
good.
you're set to put an ad out?
Yeah, you just voted on it, I'll take care of it. I mean, I just did it 2 years ago, I have all the information I just.
Well, we didn't get much response 2 years ago.
Right.
But we didn't also, I didn't think it was necessary to really get into how legalistic a lawyer's gonna be. And the answer is,
Well, they're all pretty legalistic.
Once you put it out there and advertise, then feel free to then call around directly and say, hey, this is open and we've
Yeah,
advertised
yeah,
it.
Right.
It may not, I mean, putting it in the paper may not get anybody's interest, but
Right.
once it's in there,
at least it's in there, yeah.
you can call whoever you want and ask them to.
I'm not sure that a different solicitor would be any different. I mean, that's up to us in an interview process, I think, to, you know, get into that a little more thoroughly.
Right,
I think previously we posted in the bar associations as well for Adams and Franklin County.
right, okay. Alrighty, our next line item is 405-14, part-time secretary wages. Right now, it is what we're set at with the 52 weeks at the rate of pay. This is what we come up, if we factor in, I think the minimum of 15 hours or something like that. we
Yeah,
had.
you're right, the 15,000 is what you put in her offer letter.
Right.
That's the amount you put in
Right.
her offer letter.
And then I know Bobby has 16, which is, it's $1,000 difference from this year, next year. And like I said, she's still working and learning her stuff, so we haven't even talked about raises or anything like that. We're not even at that place, so. You know, I'm fine with where we're at, or is it the 16,000, I don't have a problem with that one way or another.
Yeah, I put that in there because considering moving forward, if she's doing a good job and we definitely wanna keep her on, if those things exist, then we should, create a little incentive, and that's why I put that in there.
Okay,
May not need it, may not want it, but it's an extra 1,000.
Well, I understand.
okay. Our next topic is secretary mileage. At 400 is what we had from last year, and I see Bobby has adjusted that to 200, and I am in agreement with Bobby on the two.
I, as the secretary, also agree with that, because I don't go to the bank anymore, so I have almost zero mileage, unless and also training.
Right, well, and the thing.
Training that you drive to, so.
And the thing I'm thinking about here too is we now have the truck is now been reallocated. So employees of the township, if they need to go to business meeting or go to classes, you can take the truck. You might not like taking the truck, but you can take the truck, and that, guess what? That saves the township mileage. So,
I like the truck.
yeah, there you go. So he likes the truck, and I've got comments about the truck myself. So yeah, I'm definitely. Thank you there, Sheriff. I would say I had somebody today. I pulled into Lowe's, jumped out to go in and get some things for the township and watered on. This guy, as I'm walking out, he goes, "That's a nice truck." I went, "Thank you."
The only thing is that you can't drive 100 miles an hour to chase somebody, though.
But it will do it.
That would be it.
All right, so we're going to adjust that to the 200. All right, our next line item that is got a difference is 406-21, office supply, $1,000. So you're anticipating that supplies are going to go down?
Sure.
Okay.
Just to note, that is where, that was where the office supplies are usually for.
The what now?
Entire building.
Okay.
As you were talking about the tax collector office supply increase, the secretary, that's where I charge all the office supplies for everyone in that particular budget.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on the office supply?
No, and I'm trying to remember why I put that like that. I didn't bring my sheet, my notes at home when I did this.
All righty, we're over here at postage.
And I don't know why that's highlighted, because it's the same.
It's the same.
That might be an error.
And with the postage, I will say, and I did say something to Winnie about this, because I did go into the post office, in the main post office in Gettysburg, and talk to the postmaster. And if we start using their bulk services, or when we do bulk mail, if we can come in and get a little bit cheaper rate, like right now with the pumping envelopes and all. I just figured out today we have approximately $311, $290. So we have about $600 in that process, not counting paying Jessica to stuff those envelopes and to get them labeled and all. The post office told us that if we want to, going forward, maybe next year, if we're gonna do a bulk mailing like that, we can purchase the envelopes already stamped, for, like, say, that particular job for $380 versus $600. So we'll save about $220 if we do it that way. So that's something for us to consider, the next time we do a bulk mailing or something other, is that we check with the post office, and see if they'll give us a rate, instead of doing it individually like this. Cause like I said, what we're paying Jessica, I don't know how many hours it's gonna take her to stuff 600 envelopes, but,
She's finished.
oh, she finished?
It's
Okay.
going in the mail tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so, if you look, is the stamps on them too?
Yep.
Oh, good. So whatever hours we have in with her stamping, I mean, doing all that, factor that anyhow. So I just wanted to make that comment
Just
on that.
incidentally, for what, I don't know her very well.
Mhm.
I have not asked her to do anything for me, but what I've heard in general discussion, she's doing a good job.
She's doing a really good
Fitting
job.
in well and getting along well with people. So I think it's a compliment.
Good, that's real good. The other item is office internet, but it's highlighted too, but it's all the same.
No, he's.
Oh, it's $50.
And I think I forgot to write the $50 in there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, great, cause I can't
Yeah.
change that internet, we have the lowest tier right now.
That's, yes.
All right,
Okay.
I'll fix that, thank you.
Our next line item is 40822, engineering for Liberty. $2,500 you have, Mr. Kai Hope. So you anticipating our engineering costs is gonna go down on us?
No, I don't know why I put that in. Once again, I made some notes on my sheet at home and I failed to bring that along.
Okay, that's fine.
I have it, if you do need a copy of your sheet, I have it.
Well, I think I had another list there besides
Oh,
what I
okay.
gave you.
Let me comment on the engineering though. Let me look into that. That's a budget, that's a number we've had for a while, but it seems that, we have been, it has been pretty low. And I'm gonna look into that over a past 4-year period and see if I can come up with a new number lower than that.
Well, I used the 4-year period for some of these numbers as well and what I came up with, so that's might be the difference.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, give a recommendation at the September meeting for engineering after I research it a little bit more.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we're gonna jump down here to, general government building and plant and operation supplies. Pardon me. Last year, we, budgeted $4,000. There's some differences in here. And, first off, I have in here 25,000. Bobby has in here 18. Mr. Jackson has 4. And the reason that mine has jumped like it is I was just going off of an educated estimate guess. We talked about, doing heating and air conditioning in the entire building. And I just pulled that off of my experience over the years working with AC and heating people, that was a figure that would be in that range. Bobby actually got, we did have a company came in and gave us one bid so far, and that bid, actually I believe it's where Bobby is on the 18,000. That is a bid, and Bobby, you wanna, you already did tell the board again, but just to do it again, just if you don't mind, what that incurs as far as what they've offered for this $18,000.
Well, they were looking at 2 different systems, basically a Mitsubishi type system and then just a general heat pump system. As I recall, I don't have those bids in front of me, but as I recall, the heat pump system was going to be a little more
Correct.
than the Mitsubishi system. The Mitsubishi system was a little more attractive personally, and I talked to Sherry and Wendy regarding this because you can zone that off much easier. Wendy might be colder or hotter than Sherry might be, and those sort of things. So Sherry can set her office to her comfort. Likewise with Sherry, including this room as well. It's a very quiet system, you don't hear it. And the other thing that comes along with that for a few $100s more, for example, on Friday, when Wendy leaves the office, she can set her office back to 60 degrees, but Monday morning when she gets out of bed and she's drinking her latte, she can dial up on her phone and adjust the temperature so it's already warmed up when she gets here. So,
Makes it nice.
so there's
It's a
things there
fringe
that
benefit
work.
for you.
Yeah, and I know personally a guy that's installed Mitsubishis, and he was always all about them, how efficient, quiet, and hopefully that will go back to our electrical bill, and because they're very efficient, much more efficient than these window shakers,
Right.
for example, and that type of heat in the wall over there. So our electric bill, I do expect that to go down once everything's installed and up and running, so.
Right.
Not a huge difference, but somewhat of a less electric bill.
Well, I do know that we have a couple other companies that we've contacted, have not heard back from them. So hopefully before end of our budget processing, we might have some more quotes that we can look at and compare to what we have right now. But right now, Wendy, I would adjust my number from 25 to 18.
I would make a comment on that, and this is the general fund budget.
Right.
I actually would like to put that into the capital funds budget, because
Right.
that's a capital expense,
It would be,
and that's,
Yeah, I think,
instead of just coming out, because that's
Right.
not something that we'll be doing every year, that
Correct.
large. And that would just go into a capital expense, into the capital budget.
and
So
that,
we can move that. I think I put in a placeholder when you do have a
Yep.
copy of the capital funds
Yep.
budget.
It's on the back.
And it's on there.
It's page number 6 of your packet.
So more or less what we would do then for this building maintenance 40925 is just kind of like general building maintenance, things that might come up throughout the year instead of a large project.
Right.
So, and 4,000 might even be too high for that. I mean, I don't know, with us doing a lot of stuff in-house and not contracting out for gutter cleaning or anything like that.
yeah, that's what
That number might, 4,000 might be too much. I mean, that would include any office supplies or general supplies or machine rentals of things that you may need to do to maintain physically the building. If you rented a buffer for the floor or
Right.
something like that. So that's pretty much what that is. But for the air conditioning, the HVAC unit, we'll put that number into the capital.
So we're just going to scratch these completely out of
Yeah, you can
here.
scratch that off of here, it will, those numbers, the 18,000 or whatever it turns out to be, will be on that other budget,
Okay.
the capital expense budget. But we should think about, how much do you think we'll spend in building maintenance? Because I don't know what it costs to maintain a building, especially now that we have a team here in-house taking care of everything.
Well, I see some things that need done, but
Nothing major.
earth-shattering, yeah.
Right. And I'm not opposed to keeping it at 4,000 because you never know what's going to happen. It might,
Yeah.
something might happen and then say, boom, we don't have the money in the budget now.
Right.
If we keep
Okay.
keep it set at
Leave it
4,000,
4
yeah,
For now.
yeah, we're fine. I
Yeah,
keep that at
I'll
4.
agree with that.
my comment is that I'm very much supportive of the idea of the new system of the air conditioning and heating. I think it's a badly needed thing here. I'm very much in favor of it, and I trust your judgment as to what kind we get.
Right.
And
Well, we'll discuss that as we move forward as a board, but I'm totally behind you on that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the number I put in there did not reflect any
Yeah.
idea, because I figured it would be in the capital budget
Right.
also, rather than in the operating budget.
All right, so we'll show that change there, Wendy, on the total, at the total general government building, back to 9920 from the ones we had.
Yep.
All right, now we're down to the police department. All right, so the item we have in here for the police department, part-time police wages, well, we're all at 24,500, Bobby's at 25, which I'm in agreement with, because we just, this last couple of weeks ago, it bumped Mr. Rusin up a little bit, so that's good.
It is. He works the majority of the hours. I will say it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Wakert still works some hours. Right now, he's having childcare issues with the kids going back to school late, and also his job, I believe, at Gettysburg has changed just a little bit, so like he only worked 8 hours this month. So what I'm saying is that if we're going off these numbers and Officer Rusin is the one working the majority of the hours, he's making the higher pay rate, so he doesn't get as many hours in my budget if I'm staying at 25.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Am I explaining that correctly?
A little low.
Yeah, I figured it this way, I just did it this way. Usually with the 24.5 for this year, I figured it at the old pay rate of $20.40 an hour, which is what everybody was making at that point in time. And it worked out to 100 hours a month for part-timers. And that was staying within the budget. If I base it solely off of his raise, even though Brian will be working some of those hours and Corey by next year should be back working some of those hours at the other pay rate. If I based it just totally off of Rusin's new one, it would be 26.4. Now that's high, but I don't know if 25 is high enough.
Now, tell you what,
Based on what he's done so far this year, is that what you're saying, and how you've been scheduling him?
Yeah.
so, I can say, I know on this particular sheet here, I don't know, the supervisors have this one here that has your numbers on it. So
Right.
you wanna adjust that and then give it back to us in an
Yes,
updated,
I will.
if you can do that?
Let me crunch some more numbers on that. I just did it real quick here tonight because I completely forgot about the fact that I did that before we gave him his raise or
Right.
whatever at the same time.
You said 26.4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did pencil that in.
And that probably will be just a little bit too high because he won't get every part-time hour. But I would just base it real quick sitting here while you guys are talking about other stuff on if he did get every part-time hour, that's how much it would be.
Does that count, consider any time off for you that he will do additional time?
No, it does not.
So there's another consideration.
So that could be another consideration, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I try to work around that as much as I can when I'm working my schedule and scheduling some time off, whether I'm taking vacation or comp, or whether I'm just working a bunch of days in a row and then taking, a bunch of days off. I try to schedule around that as far as still having coverage every day when I'm not here. I think as the year has progressed, if you look at the schedules from the beginning of the year in January up until now, I mean, there used to be times where we had 3, 4, 5 days in a row where nobody worked.
Right,
And now we might have 2 days in a row sometimes. Usually, I think it was in July, I think we didn't have any open days at all. And I think here in August, we might have had 3,
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
something like that. So I mean, for a part-time department, where I'm the only full-time officer, I feel like that's pretty good. And again, I usually have my department cell phone with me, and I try to put out as many fires over the phone as I can, even when I'm not here. So, the state, like I say, they average 5, 6 calls out here a month.
right.
So,
Well, I know, from the public aspect, in the comments I've been hearing, not only from being out there working in the township, but post on Facebook and stuff like that, and your Facebook page, the residents are really appreciative that Mr. Reason and you've been out there, and the job you've been doing. They've been very highly they've left us a lot of good comments about that. So, if our police department continues to go the way it's directed it is now, and of course I know you're talking with Freedom and talking with Hamilton Band, and if that comes to fruition in any aspect, then that's going to change the whole budget.
oh yeah,
of the
that'd
police
be
department.
a huge adjustment.
That'd be a huge adjustment. And like I said, as I've said in the past, if our residents want the coverage like they're getting now and they want more of it, then I'm totally cool with that. But unfortunately, again, if that's the direction that they want, that the township residents want, of course, anytime you have more police on the streets and all, then that's more expense. So
Right,
we have to consider that too.
right.
But
I'll crunch those numbers a
Yeah.
little bit and readjust that and get back to you on it.
okay. The next line under the police department is 41023. There's a little bit of a difference, a decrease. Bobby has a decrease at 4,000.
Well, we purchased, chargers and all sorts of things this past year.
Correct.
We also, are in the process of getting our cams
Right.
and those sort of things. So I did drop it down, considering you got new computers.
Yeah, I took that completely out of one of my, items. I'm like you, I didn't even think about it, my list is,
Yeah, there's quite a few things there that
Yeah.
we purchased that I think even 4,000 might be a tad heavy when I really considered, but that's the way I look at that one.
and the reason I would suggest to leave it like that is, we have one piece of equipment that everybody really uses a lot, and it's used heavily, and it's a sensitive piece of equipment, we'll put it that way. And I would like to see it last for years, but there's always a chance that that piece of equipment will break, and that is the NRAD.
Right,
Which is our
I knew you was
speed
referring to
time
the
device.
red.
And as much as we use that thing,
Right.
it pays for itself, but I would say that, I mean, they are expensive if you have to buy a new one.
Really?
So I would say that for right now, I wouldn't drop it too much lower than that, just in case we ever had to, because, I mean, it sits alongside the road, and there's always a chance that
Somebody hit it.
somebody's gonna hit it and run over it, and, you know, so.
We make them pay for it, right?
If we catch them.
On that note, as far as equipment and stuff like that,
Mhm.
as we had talked earlier about the body cams and stuff like that, and I told you about sending a letter to.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Yes.
I did talk to the president of that company
Okay.
or that and they
Establishment. Mhm.
establishment, and they said yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Send that. They were
Okay.
they're absolutely in favor of helping
Okay,
fund that.
okay, cool.
So just make sure you send that. If you need a contact name, let me know.
Yeah, I'll get that from you then.
Yeah, I'll get you
tomorrow.
contact, because like I said, they were, as soon as I mentioned, they said absolutely.
Well, we did, and this is on a totally different note, but since we're talking about money, I'll bring it up right now. We did finally get the grant money, came through too, for the grant that we had applied for when we bought the bulletproof vests.
Good.
We bought 3 vests and carriers for them, and an extra carrier for mine, and we ended up paying, I think, after the donation that we got from Abate, which was $1,500, and a little over $1,300 in the grant money, I think we ended up paying, what was it, like $900 maybe, Wendy? I think that's what it was. I think it was about 900-ish.
Good.
So, you know, that helped out a lot, so.
Good.
If we could do that with the body cams and at least get, half of them paid for,
Yeah. Like I said,
yeah,
there's 3 different divisions.
right,
Send a letter to all 3.
okay,
The one president has already said yes,
okay,
and I anticipate the other 2 will also do the same thing.
okay, yep. I think I have the names written down, but I'll get that,
Okay.
in case I don't, I'll
Good.
talk to you about it tomorrow.
All right. Vehicle maintenance, $2,000 for the police cruiser.
Yep.
Okay.
Walked by the car and I looked at it the other day before I did the budget. Sherry agrees, we're going to soon need tires.
Tires on it. Yeah, I was gonna say. I knew he was gonna say.
Probably gonna order 1,200 alone.
Yeah, we have a slow leak in one of those tires too that I keep an eye on, and it's not enough that I'm gonna go get it fixed right now, but,
Okay.
I keep quarters in the car.
All right. You want to adjust that to 2,000? Well, that's what I was saying. Mr. Jackson, you got any objections to that?
No objection.
Okay, everybody across the board then?
Everybody across the board, $2,000.
Yep.
Then the last thing we have in the police department there is, let's see, there's a savings for a new vehicle, 7,000. Mr. Jackson put in. This is the.
Actually, I put it
That
in.
should
Oh,
be from,
Okay.
the chief, let the chief.
Okay, go ahead.
As far as a second backup police vehicle goes, right now, I still am in contact with Gettysburg Borough. I did get an email from Chief Glennie the other day stating that their new cars are now being scheduled soon for production, and I'm sure that they're still going to offer us the same, well, it won't be the same deal, but same as in one of the used police cruisers that they have. I wouldn't think that the amount would be the same as what we discussed before because of the fact that it'll be a little bit older and it'll have more miles on it. And that would probably definitely need new tires by then. So that being said, I don't mind that for a backup or a second vehicle. However, at some point in time, you know, the vehicle that we have here now is what, 2 going on 3 years old. It'll be 3 years old next year. So I just thought that if we could budget a little bit every year, even though we won't use that, you know, right this year, if we budget it and put it back, then when we do go to get a new police car 3 years down the road or whatever it ends up being, then we have a nice chunk of change to put towards that car.
Right.
Or if we have let's say that we get a used vehicle that's got 70,000 miles on it by the time we get it, which is about probably what I would anticipate that to have on it by then. You know, as long as that doesn't nickel and dime us to death, you know, that's a good investment, but at some point in time that will need to be replaced too.
Right.
So.
On that subject, I viewed this as more of a capital budget item.
Oh.
It's really a sinking fund for.
Okay.
It's like Glad Hill Road. We got 72,000 in there,
Right.
and we're not spending on anything else unless we decide we want to and need to. I think the car would be the same thing.
Okay.
And you know, we're planning for it, but
Yeah.
you know, if all of a sudden we have an emergency and need money and don't have any income or something like that, that's what those
Gotcha.
fund could be adjusted.
Okay.
But it would declare our intention to put away a sinking fund for the purchase of a vehicle. And
However
think
you
that
guys
could be
wanna
done.
handle that, it's fine
so
with me.
it is a capital item, so it would come out of here and go
It
into
wouldn't come out of here.
It transfers to that's what it's doing. It's $7,000 that we're gonna take from the general fund and transfer to the capital fund. Putting it away, saving
Right.
over time, a little bit every year to build up the capital fund until we're ready.
Purchase one. Bobby?
Well, I like the idea of tucking away money for that sort of thing, then we have the money at hand when we decide or need to.
Yeah, 'cause that's, you know, a big chunk of change at one time when you go to do that, so.
All right. Well, I'm not opposed to that either, so we'll just move out the capital fund.
Right.
You leave it as an expense here because
Right.
that's really a transfer to capital fund is what that line item will be. And you'll see that it's on the capital fund budget when we get to that.
Yeah, I
You'll see
saw it,
that
yep.
on there.
Okay. So we'll be all,
Is everyone in favor of that?
yeah, I think everybody's in favor of that.
Just a reminder, we're not voting on the budget right now, we're just,
No.
right, we're just getting some draft numbers together.
Yep. All right, our next one is, now we're down at the planning and zoning. Planning and zoning, the training's at 600, Bobby's dropped it to 3. And you know, I think he's probably in line, because most of the people we have right now have done all their training classes, as far as I know. Is there something coming up that you're aware of, Wendy?
No, I mean, you could probably drop the planning commission down. I know this is a number that came up years ago, I don't even know how much, I think they used it, maybe once or 2 years ago, but I don't know if anyone used it this year. Plus, we encourage them to use a lot of we've subscribed to the PSATS webinar series where all the training is free, so they can use that as well.
Right.
So, and you're right, everybody on the board has been attending some type of training already. We don't have any new members right now.
Right.
But actually, 2 of them are coming off next year. They're
Right.
up for renewal, so keep that in mind.
Right,
There
so,
will be 2 slots.
and I'm sorry, I jumped down to the training classes, and that's 200 Bobby had, which that's fine, $200 to $300. The training secretary, the secretary's paid, that's a paid position, now. And that paid position, Bobby, is, that 600 is, if they get every meeting, it's $50 a meeting. It's $50 a meeting times, 12. That's where the number comes from.
Well, the reason why I dropped it down is because they haven't been meeting.
Well, this is true.
Well, that's for this year.
That's a COVID thing
Maybe
this
you're-
year.
I know.
But next year, they might, I don't know, they may
So
be,
that's the worst case.
they may be meeting next year every.
They did meet last night, so.
Did they?
Yeah, they did
she
meet
will
last
be.
night.
Yeah, they did. They met last night. They're picking back
Well,
up.
then we need to leave that at 600. I
Okay.
agree with that.
All right,
So, but I don't see anything wrong, so it's 200, you're in agreement with dropping the
yeah,
training down? Okay.
I am. Bob,
Okay by me.
Bob's okay with it too?
Across the board again, that's good.
Zoning officer, it was 10,000 last year, and, you know, I think we put some kiboshes on some of that here over the last couple of months, and hopefully.
I think you did.
I think we did, so I'm in line with Bobby on the 7,500, because I believe that was getting way out of line there, and hopefully, after our last couple of conversations, that we can bring that, under control, so
I think you're right. And the same thing happened with KPI a few
Right.
years ago. They went berserk,
right,
and we just didn't stop
right,
them. And in this case, I think they were stopped quite emphatically in time. So,
I think they're very clear on our position.
right.
All right, so Bob, you're in agreement that you think we can budget that in
Yep.
at 7,500?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Alrighty, so then we're all cool now, we go to another page number 4. And page 4, we're down at the, highway and road maintenance here. And I got a blank over here for, let me see where we're at.
Mr. Kyle is working for free next year. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Cahill is working for free next year, I see that. Very nice, Mr. Cahill. You see that 0 number over there that you have? Does that mean you're working for free?
You mean I'm the supervisor?
Yeah, well, that'd be right.
I should
Sorry.
have like maybe a dash in there, or maybe a slash, road crew supervisor, because
You're a supervisor.
a working supervisor.
You're a working supervisor.
It's
That's
really
why
just
that's
the
in there.
wording of it.
And I, just so everybody knows, I'd had a conversation with Mickey that actually I'd like to back off on some of my hours, maybe not all, but I'm still available. And I told him anytime
Right.
he says, I need you tomorrow, then I'll be here. But I think Bruce has picked up a good bit of slack,
Yeah.
and I'm still available 7 days a week for that matter, as long as I know. But I didn't put a number in there because I didn't know what to put in there.
Well, you figure that out and let us know.
I don't anticipate $10,000 for me next year, I can tell you that.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll put a question mark in here.
well, let's make it 8.
All right, let's make it 8.
Okay,
Make it 8.
all right.
And I think that will be good enough.
okay by me.
Okay, so we're gonna adjust that to 8.
Okay.
All right, and then at the roadmasters, right now, we have in here, Bobby's got it here at 27, it was 20, right now, at the going rate, at the going pace of where we're at right now, if we continue to work the same hours of what we're doing, we're gonna be right around 25,000, isn't that right, Wendy, with your
Yeah.
calculations? That's where my number comes, Bobby, you put in 27,000.
Well, and that's largely due to the fact that I thought me backing out might incur more time with you.
What, it has, actually.
So, yeah. So,
It has, you wanna know the
I
truth.
mean, so that's kind of where I was on that.
Right, right. All right,
All
well,
right. Do you want to adjust that accordingly, Mr. Jackson?
Yep.
Okay, Mr.
Yep.
Farley?
I do.
yeah,
All right.
that's fine. The road crew seasonal, as of right now, is this number correct? That's not correct, the 3,000, is it?
Where are we? No. That
430
That
dash
was
1.
last year.
That's last
year's
year.
budget. But, Mr. Howells, you do have 20,000 in for Bruce, is that the number you gave?
I don't know where I came up with that
Okay.
number, to be honest with you.
I
And
don't-
I'll tell you what I think I did. I'll tell you what I think I did. Now, part of that is, I didn't put 10,000 up there,
Oh.
I
you gotta
put down
include you together, maybe?
included he and I.
Yeah, okay, all right, so
Okay.
I'll just
So-
change yours to 10. If that's okay with you?
Yes,
Yep.
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. All righty, so now we're gonna run down to the signs. Yeah, we had in there, what do we have in our budgets? It's 433-20.
We didn't have any money in the budget for last year for the sign.
Do you know what we had the year prior?
Around $300 is what we.
Because I do know, in Wrist Trail, over in the Wrist Trail area, we do have, signage over there, and those are private road signs
Okay.
that need to be replaced because the numbers have faded. And I know that's the only obligation that we've obligated to the private roads is to maintain their signs.
What are the signs running these days? And you get how many? 2, 3 per street?
I can't tell you now, that's a good
I
question.
You know what, let's
think they're
look
about
into that. Let's just not
$50
even try to guess.
Is it?
We can look it up.
Well,
I'll check on them right
Bob
now.
Police is somewhere around $50 for those type of signs, because those are
Okay.
blue signs.
Do you know how many you're gonna need at all? I mean, all the streets up there, is that what we're
No,
looking at?
we replaced, Brian and I replaced some of the signs a couple of years back.
Okay,
I know the Signor, the Cessna sign down here was replaced because some ding-a-ling stole it.
okay.
Anyhow, somebody stole it. And so we had to replace that one. And the Airedale sign was replaced not too long ago. So I'll have to get a count on how many signs. I know right now off the bat, there's like 3 of them over there are faded that you can't already see.
Okay, great.
Um,
All right, and you're driving around,
Yeah,
just
I'll put that on my
make
list.
a list of how many we're gonna need.
check out signage
All right.
for private roads.
Yeah.
And I'll go along with the 500 because I neglected to remember the Wrist Trail area.
Okay, and then we'll adjust that when we get an actual count on how many sites we need.
Okay, sounds good. Alright, now we're down here to the library. Okay, Bobby, you have in here 0 for the library. $1,541 was last year.
It's been that way for 10 years.
Well, I don't know about donating to the library. That's the Carroll Valley? Carroll Valley, is that correct?
Located in Carroll Valley, yes. We had a meeting with the, were you at that meeting the time we brought the library in and we had all the
Nope.
public here? And they did a presentation, that was 2 or 3 years ago. Do you
Yeah.
remember that, Mr. Barlow?
Yeah, I vaguely, yeah, I
We
kinda
tried to
remember.
get input from the public, because we looked at this before, like, why are we paying this, where's this
Right.
coming from? And then people, I mean, is it time to ask the public again for input, you know, or,
We can.
you know, how do you feel about art, is it useful, and why are we paying it? Because they came in and did a whole presentation,
Right.
and we had a pretty good turnout that day, and the public was asking questions. And in the end, the board ended up voting to continue, that was several years back.
I put 0 because I wanted to discuss that a little bit.
Yeah,
And
maybe
just, if we've been doing that for 10 years, that's, well over $15,000 we've donated to them. I realize books are not cheap, computers, etc.
They have a specific rate that they did for the per capita, and that's how they come up with their bill for all the areas, but they haven't even updated that for 10 years. And do you want,
Can we invite them back
you want
in?
that library to send us more information?
Yeah.
I would like that very
I will
much.
request information from the library.
Yeah, I would like that very much.
Letter to, have them letter addressed to Liberty Township requesting funds with an explanation of what the funds are used for.
If they want to do another presentation, we're not opposed to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will take care of that.
Alright, so we'll hold off on that one there. Township employee, I can't read that. Oh, that's workman comp.
Yeah.
Is that the new rate?
That's the
Yeah.
new rate at the 8,600 we just looked at?
Yeah, it was the total package for the workman's comp this year is 8570, and that's where I came up with the 8600.
Okay,
All right, does everyone want to adjust that?
I will.
I will.
Okay, great,
Jackson
thank
will.
you.
We're down to the property and equipment.
That's insurance.
That's insurance, so you're raising it up $100, Mr. Bob Coyote?
Yeah, I went by,
That's the current bill, is what I was.
yeah,
Okay.
they're pretty much right down the line
All right,
with
Okay.
our new, the only thing that went down was the
Auto
workman's comp did go down, yeah, those did go down, but, or stayed the same, whatever the numbers are there, but the, the property equipment and so forth, that portion of the policy went up. The difference was $89, but there was a bigger difference, $270, I think, in the workman's comp. But the other part of the policy went up a little bit for some of the equipment.
Okay.
Now, we talked about some of that when we went over some of these values. For example, the backhoe,
Oh, yeah.
the tractor and so forth, you know, and we'll just take, for example, I can remember the green tractor, the mower. We have that set at, I think it was $65,000 or $66,000 in value today. I did check with a John Deere salesman, told him what we had, what it was, and I gave him that number, and he says, well, that's a little heavy. But, and I didn't talk to him because he doesn't do things like the backhoe. But that's at $53,000, I think it was. And that was probably pretty close to purchase price because that was a used piece of equipment.
Mhm.
So we're a little heavy on that, but for coverage's sake, if this building burnt down and the equipment was in it, we still gotta replace it. So I didn't toy with those numbers or try to work that down to get a better price because I'm a little leery in doing that.
I would agree.
Okay, that's fine. All right,
Um,
we'll adjust those.
Okay, and then when you come to the next one, you'll see the wrong item is highlighted, not the pension disability, it should have been physical damage, for 48622, but I think that falls in line with what Mr. Hyde was just talking about, that's the current correction.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay,
I'll adjust all of this across the board.
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
So, we finished your budget.
All right, so now we're gonna go on here, that finishes up the budget process. Now we're on, our winter maintenance and, I will say, I know, I don't have anything in from Bob or from John on this, from Bobby. But the liquid fuels part of it, I think Wendy did send out some of the things for you guys to look at.
Oh, those are you talking about the particular bids that we received
Yes.
out from PennDOT?
Yes.
You have that sheet with summary of the jobs proposed?
Yeah, I
It
can,
was in the packet as well for tonight.
Yeah.
It's a spreadsheet.
yeah, spreadsheet, it looks,
It was probably page 3 or 4 of the packet, right after the agenda and the insurance. The
yeah,
agenda and the insurance, and then estimates for tax increase, and then there should have been a road work schedule in there.
I'll
If
let
you
you-
don't have it, let me know, I'll make a copy right now, give it to you.
I'm not sure. What do you, tell us again what you're talking about?
It was,
I'm looking at
this page, it looks
liquid,
like this.
liquid fuel.
Yes, we are on that liquid fuels budget, but then there's a piece, yes, he's talking about these road projects right now.
Are you talking about this thing?
Yes, that goes along with the liquid fuels
Yeah.
because we're talking about
yeah.
the road project.
So, let me just lay that aside. All right, so where we're at on the road project, I went out a couple of weeks ago, myself and Bobby went out with me, and then Bruce and I went out last week, and we looked at some roads. We tried to prioritize the roads in the township, and for next year's budget, I changed some things up because if we did everything on here, we're talking almost $400,000 worth of work, and we just don't have the money to do that. So I met with the liquid fuel, our new liquid fuels rep, and we went out and talked. Now, some of these things that we have proposed this year, like I'm gonna say Brent Road here. The Brent Road, it was proposed last year to super pave that road. And if we super pave Brent Road, then we're looking at a whole different ball game as far as price. To super pave Brent Road, we were talking $46,000 to super pave it. We did some work on that this year. Was getting the water run off and putting some pipes in. The only thing we have left on Brent Road to do, we can't do it until the beginning of next year, only because if we're going to do anything else with that, we don't want to do it this year, and then next year we have to redo it. And we need to do some base repair. I know the budget last year for base repair on Brent Road was about $8,000 in base repair. I'm proposing that we do the base repair in-house. Myself and Bobby and Bruce will do that repair. So we won't spend $8,000 to do that. We would spend not even half that to do the base repair we need to do. So my proposal on Brent Road has changed from doing a super pave to do a double tar and chip on that. And the price is around, as you see in front of you, Brent Road goes from being $46,000 that was proposed last year to $13,000 this coming year.
Good.
And then we go to McLaughlin, same thing on McLaughlin. I mean, I have all the proposals from last year. McLaughlin, if you wanted to, and I'm not even proposing that we do a total reclaim to McLaughlin at this point in time, but the lower half of McLaughlin was $19,675. Well, in here, if we do a tar and chip on the entire portion of the road, both sections of road, we're at $20,335. The two,
Now, McLaughlin, that was gonna require some base repair,
it
correct?
does require base repair. It was about, and the two of them last year for McLaughlin was about $4,000. Oh, pit stop? Okay, we'll wait for you to come back.
You know, while he's gone, when the
Yeah.
IT gentleman was here, he made a comment that there was something going on with the video when he restarted it. I don't know what he meant, but if we want to just recap the very beginning, that we, just say we talked about the insurance.
Oh, yeah, okay, we can do that, yeah.
Let's just recap the beginning of the meeting prior to
Sure,
the
let me
vote.
get my notes, All right, for the recap because we had some technical difficulties with our taping, we talked about our insurance and updating our insurances, and we came to the conclusion that we are going to continue with Bergdale and Russell's for insurance for 2021. Our total price on that is $24,181 for that for 2021. And other than that, we did some public comments. Comments from the supervisors, no public comments. The supervisors, Mr. Jackson, talked about FEMA and the NIMS program and about the supervisors getting updated and getting that training 700, 200, and 100. I do believe that Mr. Jackson has had all that training. I think Bobby and I need to get those trainings done at some point in time. I believe, if I'm correct, you can do them online.
Yes, and I will look into that. I will check it and follow up with everyone once I look into the requirements for that.
Okay.
And
So,
then, we did have a motion, to put out for bid for, if anyone missed that.
yep, we're gonna put out for bids for our solicitors this year. We're gonna put out the bids to have some bids come in from different solicitors for 2021, and then for consideration. So other than that, we're up to speed. Our budget process, we have went through the budget process, and now we're at the liquid fuels. So we're waiting for Mr. Jackson. We'll be back with us momentarily. So we'll take a break. A 5-minute recess. Switch your legs.
We're still in the air, right?
Yes, you're still alive.
I'd like to add to the discussion of Brent Road. Mr. Barlow brought up the fact that super paving was about 46,000 and we're proposing around 13,500 for it now to double tar and chip it. And the reason why the road department, after some discussion and looking at the whole thing, we decided to go with double tar and chip because probably the heaviest thing that goes up and down Brent Road is home fuel or propane trucks. We don't have a lot of real heavy traffic on that road, and it really does have a good base, and we did set up the draining to keep the water off of it, so that's one reason we went that way rather than blacktop, basically.
Yep, that is correct. It is, as I said, I'll recap when Mr. Jackson comes back. The roads that we were proposing for 2021, all of those roads we're proposing to do double tar and chip on every one of them, because that's the cheapest way for us to go. And these roads, were not heavily traveled, and the roads that we can prolong if we double tar and chip, and then we fog seal over top of those roads, we can get a life expectancy of anywhere from 5 to 7 years, and save ourselves about $200,000 by going that direction. So, Mr. Jackson is now back with us, so we will move on to the second road. I do want to say, as far as Brent Road, included in that 13,500 was not only the tar and chip, but also to fog seal the road. Actually, the double tar and chip is $11,400, approximately $2,000 to fog seal it, which the fog seal is what we did out here to these roads to preserve.
I think that really did a good job,
Yes.
from what I can tell.
Yeah, now we're not proposing it to advertise it this way, because, we have packets to do it with the fog seal or to do it separate. I talked with Haymakers, and Haymakers gave us a price of fog sealing it separate from this here. It's about, originally we thought it was like $3 difference, but it come out to it's 5 cents difference. But if we put it in the big packet, the contractor, if a contractor gets it, can upcharge us. So if we can get it done by the people that they're gonna contract to get it done for 50 cents a square yard, then we just need to go directly to them and cut the middle guy out. That way we don't have to pay him the profit. So that's what the proposal is if we do the fog sealing on all of these roads, that we go, that'll be a separate bid, and that bid will go out separately that way. So the next road we're proposing is also McLaughlin. McLaughlin is 3,800 square yards. The base repair we're going to do in-house also, so we will be paying that price. Double tar and chip, both sections. Both sections of Glad Hill, the upper and the lower part.
You mean McLaughlin?
McLaughlin, yes. The total price would be $20,300. That includes the fog seal. Actually, to do the tar and chip is $17,100.
The numbers aren't the same as on our sheet here.
It is 17,100, and then fog sealed you 31,35.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And then it's 20,000.
20,235.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm all set.
All right, and now our next road is Irishtown Road. Irishtown Road last year, well, it was also slated for tar and chip. The price we had from last year's proposal with base repair was about $25,775. If you look at it here, folks, for us to do the tar and chip is $18,300, and then your $3,355 for the fog seal. It's $21,655, which is a little bit less than what was proposed last year. And then the last one we had.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may interrupt.
Go ahead, you may.
I don't agree with the numbers between McLaughlin and Irishtown. And I can't believe that Irishtown is 400 square yards more than all of McLaughlin Road, because either half of McLaughlin Road is about the same
Hold on, let me get my notes.
as Irishtown.
I don't have
So,
Is it all of McLaughlin that you're doing?
yes, both upper and lower side of McLaughlin is what you said. right?
Yeah, you know what, let me recant that one, because I don't have my measuring numbers in
Yeah,
front of me
I think
now.
you're right, Bob.
Yeah, I think that's a good catch, because I did not, let me see here, McLaughlin, all right, we got McLaughlin here. Yeah, we got McLaughlin here, we got 5,700 feet. Let me see what we had last year on McLaughlin.
That's 5,700 square yards.
I mean, it's 1,500 square yards. McLaughlin, there's one McLaughlin. Yeah, you're right. Bob, I'm glad you
Is
caught
that
that.
wrong on the bid, and he needs to mix that?
The 50, no, he's not, no, he's right.
It's right on the bid?
It's right on the bid, I was wrong on the thing. McLaughlin, the first half of McLaughlin from the bridge to Bullfrog is 5,700 square feet.
Okay.
Okay, bridge to Bullfrog.
Yes,
That's all you're doing?
that's all we're doing for tar and
Okay.
chip.
So
Yeah.
that is, in
Lower
Mr.
half.
Reynolds, that makes sense too, and you
Right.
agree with that?
Right,
Yeah,
is that,
yeah, that's
Okay.
much better.
Then we're not doing all of.
We're not doing the upper half. The upper
Upper half.
half is 6,400 square feet.
And
Okay.
you're not doing that.
We're not doing that next year because that is projected to be a total depth reclaim. That's $128,000. That's why it's not in here.
And we got pipes to put in.
We got pipes to put in
We
that.
got work to do over there.
I'm glad you caught that, Bob. It's not. Thank you. Whew, that was a bit of mess up.
Well, you only had half the road.
I only had half the road.
Half of
All right, so now we're back at
You were on
Irishtown Road. Yeah, Irishtown Road. Now McLaughlin, on this sheet, Wendy, we have here 3,800 square feet. It should be,
That's Brent.
That's great.
That's Brent. McLaughlin says 5,700.
not on my sheet. Oh, okay. Never mind, I got the original, I got that old
You
sheet.
have one for today's meeting.
Yeah, I'm running off the wrong one. All right, so we're right on that, 57. Now we're on Irishtown, 6,100 square feet on Irishtown. Double tar and chip is $1,803. 18,300. 21,655 with the fog seal. Old Waynesboro, and this is the biggie. This is really is a biggie. It was not in our packet last year, but Old Waynesboro, and I have pictures. I can definitely show you Waynesboro. I was out there again today. Old Waynesboro Pike. The road is totally gave away. There's no road. Just it's more like dirt and gravel. Matter of fact, our state rep, when he was out with me, he said you'd be better off just to pop that what you got left down and pour some 2A over it and let it harden up and just have dirt and gravel for now. But I talked to Bruce about this, talked to Bobby about it. I took pictures. I was over in Greencastle today, meeting with a place called Contact Supports Engineers. Because we have to do some work. First, we got to do some base repair on this particular road. We got to chip the whole thing out, take everything up off of it because it's only about a quarter inch. We can do that in-house. If we do that in-house and we go in, put down the stone, and we would do that ourselves next spring, and then have one of the companies come in and tar and chip over that, that road would be back to where it needs to be, and we could probably maintain that with a fog seal for probably 7 or 8 years.
I have a question. Is that anywhere near where the bridge is? Or
No, it's two different sections. Different sections.
The one we're talking about is just above the state road.
State
that
shed.
little loop that like
Yeah,
goes-
it just goes in and
It's
out.
2 houses on it,
Yeah.
but it is the worst road we have in our whole entire township.
Okay.
That's where you cut down the tree.
Yeah, you never went and got it.
I haven't went and got it yet, but it's on the books.
It's well
It's-
seasoned.
It's on the books. Well, okay, it's on the books, it's over the edge.
Yeah, I know, I'm waiting, you said it was going in a ditch, that ain't a ditch, that's a cliff.
That's what, I told you it was going over the edge.
It is.
So take your chain to pull it back over. So that's the road.
Thinking about it.
It's 1,800 square yards. For us to double tar and chip it's about $5,400 and $990 to fog seal. And then the only other we have there, Bob, is Bullfrog. At the top of Bullfrog, where Liberty Township and Hamilton Band meet, as soon as you cross the line, we have a section in there. Now there's 2 sections, and we just totaled all both sections together. To dig that up, we would do the base repair. For us to come and tar and chip that and then fog seal it, it's $1,700. No, we're not gonna fog seal it. We don't have it in it. $1,710, because we have that section there, and then just before Mr. Fireball, just before the bridge, there's a section there that's about 4 feet wide, I think about 60 feet long, that's divot down, needs tug out, and needs fixed, and then tar chip over top of that. So that's $1,710. So what was proposed last year was well over like $200,000. What I'm proposing this year is $63,480, and we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our roads will be done This is also, like I said, with us doing most of the work in-house, between myself, Bobby, and Bruce Petcher, and the only thing we're gonna farm out is the tar and shipping. So I'd ask you guys, look at that, look at what Wendy sent you, in the packets, and then consider in our budget for this year. Actually, I know we're getting $55,000, is our proposed liquid fuels money. So we have some money left over from this year, I believe, or do we not?
We'll have to see where we end up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We have some money left,
Yeah,
but I
so-
don't know how winter's going, we probably won't use much for winter for
Right.
stone and so.
So right now, we're really well set, I believe, to be able to do these projects. If the 55,000 comes in from the state, which you've already said, so we're looking at less than $10,000 that we would have to either transfer, keep it out of our this year and transfer to next year.
I have to say, you actually have to consider the other expenses that are in the liquid fuels budget.
Yep.
Before you say that, because.
Well, yeah, that's true.
We do have, all the auto repair, the truck repairs are in there, we have the truck payment in there. So it's pretty much well spent with the 55,000. If we're gonna do these, we should, like everyone says, the road projects, so something we should look into are the reserves or the reserve fund.
Let me see here. Well, let's see, we also have 6,900 that's already in the budget for the bridge repair next
Yeah.
year.
That's it. Now.
That's not gonna change, we're gonna try to do the bridge next year if we can get the permit. That all depends if we can get the permit.
I don't see that.
You actually have 15,000 for the bridge repair, Mr. Barlow.
Yeah, the 15,000, what I proposed in there is because 6,900 is what we need to do the work underneath the bridge, but we have other work that needs to be done on the bridge that
Yeah.
we didn't do anything this year.
And I have to say, at 15,000, that should probably be a capital project and be moved off of there. That's quite a significant, but you wanna use, liquid fuel funds for that, so that is why it's in this budget.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, never mind, I restate that. It's in this budget for liquid fuels fund.
right. That's because the state's mandating that we fix it.
Understood.
Yeah, if they're mandating before we fix it, well, guess what? We gotta take it out of liquid fuels.
I have a question on the proposed road project.
Go ahead.
The fog seal.
Yes.
Are we gonna try, well, let me back up. Are we gonna attempt to have these roads pretty much ready to do all at one time? In other words, a company come in and do them at one time, the same as with the fog seal?
Same day. The project is to bid these out when they come in, just like they did out here in Topper. They come in, they sweep the road.
Mhm.
We have to have it ready there. We have to have the road ready. We have to have the base repair done. They come in and they will tar and chip it, double tar and chip it, and they'll sweep it, and the next day they'll spray it.
Okay.
That's the process.
Well, I didn't know if that would have a reflection on the pricing or these individual projects at different times,
No,
which tend to
no,
cost
no,
more.
no, they gotta do it all at the same time. Now, I have two different, we had James write these up in the liquid fuels for us without the fog sealing, which I have these here, and then we have with the fog sealing, which I have here. It's like I said, when I called Haymakers, Haymakers said they're charging a flat 50 cents a square yard. But our rep has put it in at 55 cents a square yard because somebody could bid on it. But then he told us that they could upcharge. If you
Because they're
want.
subcontracting.
Yeah, because they're subcontractors, so they're gonna upcharge it, so it's not gonna be 50 cents. Well, I told him, don't put it in the packet, we bid it out separately, that way Haymakers will bid on it, because Haymakers is the only one that does it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And we don't have to go to a middleman and pay the upcharge. But it will all require being bid on and being done at the same time.
That's fine. I just didn't know how the pricing.
Nope, that's how it works. And when they say, what do we say even here? Say, we bidded this packet here with the fog seal. if the company say, we'll just say AAA gets the contract, they will have to schedule their tar and shipping. They'll do the tar and shipping, and Haymakers is gonna come in and do the concert. So they gotta schedule that to happen.
Yeah, simultaneously.
It's like right on top of each other, yes, same thing. So, like I said, this is nothing we have to move on tonight, but it is, like I said, that's my proposed budget as far as the road department, specifically for those roads and repair, not including the other things we need to do.
Right.
But for road maintenance next year, it's $63,480.
Good.
Now, will that include, so far our budget, the road department that is, we have to budget, pipes and so forth. That's mostly up on the upper side of McLaughlin. We don't have any pipes that we need to consider on the lower half of McLaughlin.
Nope,
Ren Road is done.
don't let us know.
Irish Town is good.
Yep,
And Old Waynesboro, we have to get some piping in there or redo some piping. Not-
always brought at the driveway at 1290, before, our state rep even said that, and I agree 100%, before we do anything that road, we have to fix that water issue coming out.
Yeah,
Because that big spot you saw,
yes.
the whole road is gone because the water coming out of that driveway just washed it right down and over into that little ravine. Our base is down in the ravine with your tree.
While you're down there.
So while you're down there, can you take a shovel and throw it back up?
Down there with a shovel and.
Throw it back
use
up.
my driveway?
Yeah, sure. If you wanna reclaim it.
If you want to.
Yeah.
So,
Repurpose it.
so anyhow, that's
Environmentally sound manner.
that's where we're at on that. You guys can look that over, give some thought of what you think that you want to do. Like I said, if we hit these 5 roads, that's 5 more roads out of the way, then we only have 3 roads left. But those 3 roads are major projects.
Yes, they
We're talking 100, at the current rate, 128,800 to do a total redepth, claim and super pave, the upper part of McLaughlin. And the big one, which I was saving for last, because that's gonna be 1 year. Matter of fact, it's gonna be more than 1 year. I would propose, at some point in time, if we're gonna attack Petra, we're looking at $362,800 just for Petra alone. And that's to put a wear course on it, scratch it, level it, put fiber on it. That's gonna be like a 3 or 4 year phase.
I'll say.
I don't believe we can do that unless you guys want to, unless you wanna take out a big loan, which I'm not a fan of loans. I think that's a project where we do a 3-year project where we do so much each year
We can
and,
spread that out.
and spread this out. So that's why I'm leaving Petra, because right now Petra is not in a position where it's falling to pieces. So it's something that we can work on that over a 3 or 4 year period and do it in sections, and that's what I'd say. Maybe, but McLaughlin, the upper half of McLaughlin, I think, is a one project for 2022, and that's the only thing. The other ones, what we would do is just do some maintenance, just general maintenance on our roads, but I would leave McLaughlin for 2022, and that would
Did you
be,
say the upper side of McLaughlin super paved?
the upper side of McLaughlin is a full depth reclaim and a 9.5 super pave.
Why are we doing that up there?
Well, if you look at that road up there, it's in bad shape, you gotta reclaim it. I mean, you
I
can,
won't disagree with that.
you could come back over top of that if you wanted to, if we wanted to, and that's something we could talk about, and do the tar and chip over top of it, but you're looking at a 7-year fix versus a 30-year fix. McLaughlin has quite a bit of traffic on McLaughlin, because you have a lot of traffic coming from Freedom and Highland into us on that side. That's run a lot. You know, but that's something we consider next year, and we can talk about next year and look at the other options, because there might be something coming along that's, like I said, this full reclaim, I'm not sold on the full reclaim. That's $57,600 to dig up that whole entire road And we did a total reclaim up here and spent that kind of money, and that, I don't believe that should have been reclaimed.
You're talking about Stillman?
I'm talking about Stillman. I mean, if we were to do a total reclaim, McLaughlin would have been a better candidate than Stillman, because Stillman it's not falling to pieces.
No, it wasn't, and McLaughlin on the upper side is.
It's most certainly, I mean, we got places.
It needs a lot of work.
We got a lot of work, I mean, so we can look at digging, I mean, we can do some of this work ourselves, and we got, if myself and Bruce is here, and Bobby's here for a month, we can go over here and dig this whole road up ourselves. And do just what I said about the other, we can come in there with, 2RC and redo that road and put the whole new base in, and then we can either put a wear course over top of it and pave it with 9.5. Then, so we're not paying for a reclaim. A reclaim on that job is $57,600. If we do it ourselves, we save $57,000.
Well, it'll cost us several $1,000s with labor.
It will, but it won't cost us. It won't cost us $57,000. It won't be that. 7,000 maybe. Maybe 7,000.
Yes.
So, but that's a project that I'd say that we push off to 2022, and we got some time to think on what we want to do with that.
I'll agree with that.
And then, like I said, 2023 is where I would look at starting to attack Petro roads. So that means if we do these set 5 roads that we got proposed for $63,000 next year, and we can get them all done, then we got 2 roads in the township that we can look at going forward. So,
Yep.
I like it.
all right. So I'm done with, that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it on that part. All right, we're going to try to get this wrapped up because it's almost 9 o'clock here. As far as the liquid fuels, there's no numbers in here other than what's already on our sheets. That's not going to change. You see there, the state has already told us on page 5 that we're looking at $55,000 in revenue from liquid fuels versus $77,600 last year.
Is a base repair, you said you're gonna give me a number for base?
Yeah, I'll figure that out.
Okay, you'll get that for me.
Yeah, I'll figure that out.
Okay.
And the signs too for over in
And
Ritz.
signs, what signs? So that's those are non-private road signs?
Correct.
That's what that is, cause we don't.
Right.
Oh, you're gonna give me the signs, the private road signs for the general fund?
Yes.
And, speaking of signs in here, I see you have 2,500 up from 1,500. Did you anticipate some more signs?
Well,
Or is
you
that
just,
just what we normally need?
we'll get there in a second.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, you jumped way down the page on me.
Sorry. You started it, there you go.
Yeah, so I'm saying, we're at the 55,240 is what we're participating in getting from liquid fuels. Down in the salt, projecting 7,000. We've already contracted our bid. We have a minimum we have to take. So that, depending on our weather this year, it fluctuates.
Where are we gonna put all this salt?
On your backyard, up
Yes.
there, where you put those other bins.
I'm gonna say, what we projected, we did cut the salt bid down, Bobby. Last year, I believe, it was 125 tons that was contracted. I'm not 100% sure to that. You have to take 60% of that, I believe, of what you're contracted for.
I think so.
You gotta take a percentage of it.
You're committed to purchasing that amount.
Yeah, you're committed to that amount. This year, what we did is, Wendy and I talked about that, we did not commit to 125, I think, if I might remember correctly, we committed to 70 tons,
That sounds about right.
70 or 80 tons, because we already have some out here. And we have to take 60% of that.
Yeah.
So, I think we can store that.
Well,
Yeah,
one
we got
of
room-
the
we got
things
room
we
for
did
that.
talk about was raising those partition walls.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
After the building was built, it was sort of an afterthought. How are we gonna do it? We got into all kinds of discussions about how to do that. But we thought it would be a separate part of the project to consider putting block walls or reinforcing stuff in them, or
Right.
double height of them.
And that's something we may still be able to do. So we built this wall out here that we have now to hold some of our aggregates. We can do that same thing, not with the big blocks, they have to be smaller blocks on the inside if we need to.
It was a fairly simple
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
I mean, just
Well-
cinder blocks with some sort of reinforcing
Right.
rods in them and poured little concrete in the holes.
And that turned into a major mess when we got the UCC people involved.
I don't think we need to,
Right.
I think we can get away with doing that.
Yeah. Anti-skid, last year we budgeted 35. I put it in for 2,000 this year, cause I don't, like I said, we've been having some light winters. We still got a lot of anti-skid living there. And if we do get into a position where we have to buy extra anti-skid, okay. We have in here 15,000 we budgeted last year, for winter maintenance, which we did not use. So I dropped it to 9,000. That is in case we needed to call in, extra help for plowing snow and all. This year I'm anticipating that we're gonna have Bobby here and Bruce here, to help out with the snow, so we won't have to call in. So that's what the 9,000, why it went from 15 to 9. Signage, 2,500 for signs. I don't anticipate we're gonna spend more than that. This year we did go over budget because we did the signage for these restricted roads, signs. So we went over budget there. Down at the, traffic control devices, 2,500. Again, those traffic control devices, somebody runs over a stop sign, our stop signs, we need to start looking at replacing some of our stop signs because they're getting in pretty bad shape. We have to keep a certain amount of those on hand anyhow. Tool repair, I raised it from 500 to 600. Vehicle repair stayed the same, 5,000, which I don't believe, and that's for all our vehicles?
Yes, that includes all
That
your
includes
major
all-
things, your backhoe, the
Yeah.
mower, those are the large, anything
Yeah.
that drives on the road.
Now this year we did have some repairs on that mower. We had to spend about $4,800, I believe, on our mower because it was a mess. It was a mess. Hopefully, we put new knives on it today, greased and lubed it up before we took it out. That was not the case in the past. So it cost us about $5,000 when it had a breakdown. And the man was here, worked on it, told us flat out, that was lack of maintenance, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
He strongly said, if someone would have done the maintenance on this, you wouldn't be spending $5,000. And I was like, that's just sickening. But anyhow, tool repair, I do know that, as I think I mentioned to Bobby, we're gonna make it last as long as we can. We have a backup, but our chainsaw has a burnt cylinder head, on it. So, at some point in time, that's gonna go on us.
What's gonna go put on this?
Our chainsaw,
Chainsaw has a cracked cylinder head?
it has a burnt cylinder head. Yeah, and, Harrington said it last week because the muffler fell off of it. So, and when he went to fix the muffler, he seen the head was burnt. I'm like, oh, jeez.
I don't,
It's old. So he said you don't put a lot of money in it. Run it as long as you can. When it quits, then you have to replace it. Again, the bridge repair, 6,900 is what we had in. We did not do the projected project this year because we didn't get a permit. But we're hoping over the winter we can get the permit processed and get that for next year. That's to put those balances underneath the bridge, do the scaling underneath the bridge. But we also have the deck work needs work on. That's been in the 3-year project thing. So hopefully if we can, next year we can get the balances done underneath, the underdecking done, and get the deck on the bridge done. And then we should be almost close to being where the state wants us to be on that bridge. I'd like to see that state take that bridge over. That'd be awesome. Then we won't have to worry about it.
Not gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen. Coal patching, I don't anticipate we're gonna go any farther in coal patching. Aggregate stones, I did increase that by $1,000, and the reason why is because the cost of stuff going up. I don't know what that's gonna be. We did use a lot of stone this past year, in our ditches, in some of our ditch repairs, so we did, put a lot of money into that. $10,000 is, for the brush and canopy removal. We did last year, we did, Stoops Road and we did Liberty Hall. Next year, I'm proposing that we do, McLaughlin and Bullfrog. So that's what that $10,000 is a proposal to do, the canopy, continue to do that, and get those roads opened up where the sunlight can get in and, keep those roads unthawed. So, last year's budget was $40,871. Next year's budget I'm proposing is $42,400 for the road maintenance. And then, of course, down here we have highway mint, $15,000.
That's the truck payment.
It's a truck payment. Yeah, that's that truck payment that Wendy was telling you
That's
about.
that's a quarterly payment, so.
Yeah, that's a quarterly payment.
And that's
So-
only financed for 3 years, so we only have 2 more years of it.
Yeah, so, okay, so that's where I'm at on that. Do you guys have anything else for the budget for tonight?
Nope.
Okay, the last thing we have on our budget is our fire tax, which is pretty well straightforward. You can see that. We do need to give some consideration and thought, for next year, how we wanna disperse that money. If we wanna disperse it, out on a percentage basis, or how we wanna do it. Also, just keep in mind that Adams Regional, has not been factored into this equation for this money, even though it is for fire and EMS. So we wanna consider those guys too, because that's the ambulance provider. It comes into your township and takes you away when you need to go to the doctors. They have not gotten any money from us for years. But they do the majority of the cost. So anyhow, right now it's projected $42,600 is what will come in, what will be, for the fire tax for next year.
Will be coming in?
No, it'll be going out. Well, it'll be coming in and then going back out. Yeah, going
Wait a
right
minute,
back out.
It has never been that high, and we haven't changed.
Well,
it.
It's only about 30 something.
It's based on
38.
your property value.
Yeah, it's
and the
property value's
value
going
goes
up, yeah.
That's going.
Enough to make that difference.
Yep.
Yeah, current fire tax is $41,350. Delinquent fire tax is $1,250, which gives you the $42,606. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do I have a motion? Anything else on our agenda? I think we're done.
You've worn us out.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm warming myself out. Do I have a motion on the floor to?
I would suggest that you just check for any public comments in case people miss public comments.
Anybody else there?
Any public comments on new business?
I was just wondering why you moved the meeting to the evening. I was queried by somebody. Works for me, I think it's great.
Well, we did it,
Curious.
and that's why we did it.
Oh, the police meeting, I thank you, I take my hat off.
We did that,
I still ain't voting for you next year.
Oh, shut up.
I quit.
we did that before.
I'm not running next year. So.
Heartless.
Well, thanks again. I have a motion on the floor for adjournment.
You have.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, our next board meeting, our meeting for
The board meeting.
the budget is September the 1st.
Talking about it again at the next meeting.
All right, so everyone, we are adjourned.